Dawn of the Dead 1978 is what we're talking about. We talked about the last one we did was the third one. This is the second one in the trilogy. And it's following an ever-growing epidemic of zombies that have risen from the dead. Two Philadelphia SWAT team members, a traffic reporter, and his television executive girlfriend seek refuge in a secluded shopping mall. I didn't take enough air in when I started that.
Yeah, I got that.
But anyway, no, I don't really need to read the description. Basically, zombie epidemic takes over the... So if it's an epidemic, does that mean that it's only in the United States? So they could have just gone to some other country and been okay? Anyway.
You know what? You know what it is, right? It's like somehow or other the filmmakers got a hold of them all.
No,
all it was.
It was an epidemic. People died. Everybody's dead except for a few people, and that's all you need to know, really, right?
Yeah, it's such a schism for commercialism, you know. It's
that's actually one thing I liked about this.
Yeah,
was,
and you know what? Here's the thing. The thing is that if you think about it, looking at it as in the past and going, well, that's just shit. You go, well, that's what your stuff is going to look like in 30 years.
Right.
Well, that's just shit.
You know what's funny is I really did not like the blue, how the zombies were all blue.
Yeah.
Not all of them were.
Yeah.
There's some scenes later on where there's some people walking around without any makeup.
Right.
I'm like, they must have run out of money or something. It's like...
more extras. I don't know what that was about, because there was very little consistency.
There were a few kids in there that looked like they just walked onto the set and started acting like zombies.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened. Hey, you want to do something? Yeah, sure.
I like how this movie opened, though. It was like total chaos at the beginning, and I like that, how it kind of kicked it off, and then that's how it would be, probably. It'd be all chaotic and what's happening, you know?
Right.
And, like, we got to keep on the air as long as possible, and then I've worked in a TV station, so I know there's some people that probably want to stay in the air, and the other people would be like, fuck this, I don't get paid for this. You know, I was one of those guys. I was a camera operator, cameraman operator, and then I ended up directing eventually, but I didn't get paid enough to deal with that shit.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
So I like how it just kind of evolved, and the two scientists were the only guys that were left talking.
Yeah, it's...
You could tell this was a really heavy script that Romero wrote. I think wasn't he known for that, kind of writing really good. Like,
yeah, a lot of social commentary and stuff going on.
Right.
There was. I mean, the thing is we're going through a pandemic right now.
I know.
And we're not much better behaved than they are, so I don't think we have anything to say.
No.
It wouldn't be that way. No, it'd be 100 times worse is what it would be.
Right now, it probably would be, yeah. If it actually happened right now.
Right.
I've fly to New Zealand.
We're pretty close to that right now, you know. No, this isn't like that pandemic.
How do I get a train ticket to New Zealand?
Yeah, really. Exactly.
So there was kind of I think we talked about Day of the Dead. Didn't really have any reason. At least this one kind of had some, like, message behind it.
You know, not only did it have a message, it had it had an element of, like, what do I want to say? Day in the life of. Yeah. I mean, I mean, it lasted long enough, you know, for them to, like, have the home and stuff, and
they were quarantining.
Yeah. There were elements of it that, well, the first Day of the Dead.
Yeah, Night of the Living Dead.
They were encapsulated, and then all of a sudden, the rest of the world comes back in and fixes it, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And I think both of the originals were both that way, right?
Yeah.
This one where it is the entire world, obviously. That I mean, like the guys that were leaving in the boat. Yeah, we're gonna go find an island. Where? What island? Well, whatever island.
Wherever.
Whatever. and you go, yeah. You gotta think to yourself that that there was that end of time problem going on there, and there's that question of, if you did solve all of your problems, right? You block the zombies out, then you're just stuck in your house.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering, how long would the power last? I mean, seriously, if there's nobody working at the power plant.
There were so many things that you had to wonder about.
Yeah. So you knew their time was limited no matter what.
But here's the thing: is in the end, they were just like us. They were stuck in their rooms.
Right.
Did you? It's like, oh, you're stuck in a room. Oh, it's quarantine.
So one message I like is that when they're in the room, they start collecting all this stuff, and like it really just proves that how pointless buying stuff and having a bunch of crap, even the best crap ever. I have the most crap and the best crap ever. Doesn't really matter because you don't need it. You know what I mean? It's like kind of people get overboard with like buying cars and all this other stuff. Their car's more expensive than their house is. Things like that. It's just ridiculous. But I like that. And then they're even stuck on the TV. Like, I was like, why is he using the TV instead of the radio? Because there might be somebody still on the radio because it was an emergency radio.
Right. So, and obviously there were people still around because, because there was room for Tom Savini to have his own
Tom Savini. That's the guy I wanted to bring up, who worked on Tales from the Dark Side with you.
Tom Savini actually did the East Coast version, and we did the West Coast version.
Oh, really? Okay.
So
in this one, he was the motorcycle guy, and he was the makeup and cosmetic special effects guy.
Right.
And he also did the remake. He directed the remake of Night of the Living Dead in 1990.
He did. Yeah.
So I want to invite Tom to come on the show and review 1974 Death Dream or 1977 Martin the Blood Lover. I think those would be good options. So, Tom, if he's listening, please come talk to us. Yeah, that's kind of creepy how you're making out with your dog while I'm trying to get Tom to come on the show.
Yeah. Not that I wasn't concerned.
Well, I look back through his resume and I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. The Martin the Blood Lover.
Yeah. It's interesting. Which is the one that we reviewed? These all like have a certain sameness to me.
We just did Day of the Dead was the last one we did.
Day of the Dead. Day of the Dead
the
had
third one.
The Day of the Dead had more interesting effects. More of like just a head talking or
which is why I kind of like some things about the third one, which you didn't like it, but I liked it because of those reasons, because there's a lot of weird.
Right.
This one only had one body being torn apart. That one had like 4.
Right.
At once. That one, I think that's how Romero thought. He's like, okay, well, the second one only had one body torn apart, so let's go over the top of the third one and have 4.
Yeah, that's right. But then it's like, we don't need to be all about tearing bodies apart anymore. We can go deep into societal horrors, because then we go on to well, they've lived there for X given amount of years or time, whatever time it was, and they were obviously bored as hell, right, going right out of their minds.
Yeah.
And then who comes along but Tom Savini and his gang, to take over what they got.
East Coast assholes.
Yeah, Jesus. Telling you.
No, what I like about this is, okay, so I like this a lot more than the third one.
I do.
I actually almost like it more than the first one. Everybody says the first one's so great, but it's probably because it's the first one. This one had a little bit more to it. Like, it had good acting, which the first one didn't necessarily have.
The thing is I think the second one was possibly superior to this.
Well, this is the second one. The third one was. Yeah, so we watched them out of order. Like, Day of the Dead was the third one. We watched them out of order.
No. I'm talking about, we watched Night of the Living Dead, and then we watched Night of the Living Dead.
That
was a remake of Night of the Living Dead.
Gotcha.
For all the obvious reasons, it was it was a superior film.
Yeah.
Now, which is the one that has all the comedy in it?
See, that's I think the one we talked about last time was like Return of the Living Dead, which was wasn't directed by Romero,
It wasn't
somebody
directed
else.
by Romero, but that's actually superior to all of them.
But I actually like. I mean, if you look at the 1968 Night of the Living Dead,
Right.
and then you look at this one, I think this had more going on for it. It had a good story. It had a better acting. It had like the commentary on materialism. It had fight for survival. It had all kinds of stuff going on.
But also that we were talking about this at the time, that one of the other elements that didn't work, that was difficult to deal with on the first one, was the mixture of old time acting and a more modern acting, and that film did suffer from that. It suffered from the dichotomy. And then by the time you went in from there on, you got over that hump of the 60s and the late 60s, early 70s mixture films were terrible. I mean, and then it was the new style of acting, and they went on and that bred.
This was late 70s, so
that bred a new style of directing as well as acting. So
there's
the TVs were really big.
There's one thing that totally stood out for me was this extra. There was
with the gun, looking at the gun.
Well, that guy too. But when Tom and all the buddies coming in with the motorcycles and this van came around the corner, one of the extras kind of did this. They went, and I'm like, I don't think a zombie would do that. But I can't stop thinking about that guy. And then the guy with the gun. Yeah, they're just kind of holding it around.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? I was just talking to Paul about who's the worst extra that you've been aware of, or the worst other actor, like not big time, but just, and I said, well, I have to be Star Wars, and she says, well, what are you talking about? I mean, because we were talking about, we were in the Star Wars world. We were talking about what's the girl that's just been knocked out of the Mandalorian.
See, I haven't watched the Mandalorian, so I don't know.
Well, yeah, but there's a girl there's a girl that's in it that acts like a piece of wood. and she's got muscles coming out of everywhere, and she's been saying racist things, and she's been knocked out. She's lost her job in the Mandalorian series, ostensibly because of all the racist things she says. And me, I'm like, you know what? I think that if she had been any good, it would have been a problem.
Probably, yeah.
But she's just not any good. Okay. So then my wife goes, well, who else do you think really sucks in the worst in the world, the Star Wars world, right? Do you remember the guy from Heroes? Kind of bigger guy that was also a pilot in a couple of the recent Star Wars, right?
Right.
There's a scene of
I'm blanking out his name.
Yeah, I swear there's a couple of scenes of him where the camera dies on him. I mean, the camera, it just dies. It's like he kind of looks around like, oh, is the camera looking at me again? It's so bad. And you do get some of those, like, I hate to say it, but the blue guy with the bald head that's chasing the woman, he was a terrible zombie. He really was.
Well, I thought you were going to say that the guy who played Luke Skywalker was a bad actor, because I've always thought that. I shouldn't say that, but Mark Hamill, yeah, he's not the best actor.
Mark Hamill? Oh, yeah, but Mark's
I mean, compare him to like.
But he's such a lovable curmudgeon, though. He really is. I love his baiting of all things conservative. Fills me with joy. Makes my tummy rub. It makes my tummy rub.
Well, I mean, compare like his performances to Harrison Ford. I mean, there.
Yeah, I know. Harrison Ford's amazing. And Harrison Ford can act without saying anything, you know. I like guys that can act without saying anything, you know. They're just being there.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Awesome.
I know. Well, anyway, we're not here to talk about Star Wars.
We're not. We're here. We were just reminiscing about bad other people on films.
Well, there's an extra that really stands out in Dawn of the Dead, and you don't know who he is because he goes like this.
The car's coming.
And he kind of backed up.
Oh yeah.
He took a step back too.
Yeah, right. It's like, oh my eyes, and you're like,
it kind of ruined the moment for me. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it did, because you were like, really?
Would a zombie do that? Probably not.
Is light really your worst problem at this point?
Well, I think he was worried about the car hitting him.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. So I'm not sure what I would rate this. I was trying to think of how high I would rate this, because I gave Day of the Dead a 3.2. And I like this more than Day of the Dead.
But I
actually might like it better than the first one. I
haven't been a great lover of the zombie films. I would give us 3.
See, I think
3, because I'm not a lover of zombie films. I mean, so far I have not seen a zombie film. Even White Zombie was cool, but was not this sort of zombie film.
Right. Well,
this sort of zombie film makes life seem cheap.
Well, that's the point. It's showing how stupid Americans are. I like the
wait. We need a zombie film for that.
Take the four main characters and zoom them over to now and put them in Walking Dead. They would totally work. I think that what lacked here was it's dated because we're in 2021, and I was looking at 1978 makeup, laughing at it, thinking, why is it blue? First of all, that bothered me, and then I'm like, okay, it's not consistent. Everything's kind of all over the place. Some don't have them, some do have them, and they aren't really. Some are just walking, while others are dragging their feet. So I'm like, I think the actors were brilliant though, those 4, and I got into their characters and followed them really well. Then how cowardly is it to leave a pregnant lady, by the way?
I felt pretty bad about. I have to say that I felt pretty bad about one particular guy, the guy that was the really good aim. Yeah. About leaving him behind. I was like, oh man, that's just.
Well, he was gonna leave the pregnant lady, like, oh, go ahead, go crash the helicopter. I'm gonna stay here and I'm gonna shoot myself. Well, and then luckily he came around, but I'm like, dude, how could you do that to a woman? Her fiance just died.
He was a good shot though.
His boyfriend just died. Her boyfriend just died.
Yeah.
And the whole thing that was really awkward though, speaking of time periods, they were talking about, the guys were sitting around talking, hey, your girl's pregnant. Do you want to abort it? I mean, like, that says a lot about, like, that would never happen in a movie now. Like, there's no way that would even be a dialogue. Unless it was set in the 30s or something. I don't know. That scene kind of bothered me.
That's kind of wire hanger work, don't you think?
And there's a little tiny hint of, like, women's lib, but it was more, like, about, like, the guys being in control of the woman's body is what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, well,
George,
you'll get that.
Oh man, Mr. Romero, what's wrong with you? I know you're dead, but that's okay. I forgive you.
They escaped. Where did they go? They didn't have much gas.
Right. I think they stopped somewhere, gassed up, and then took my advice and went to New Zealand, and went on to make Dead Alive.
As extras,
right?
It's, you know what? I know. Can we, if we could get you in as an expert, you know, if we could get as a consultant, we'll bring you on. We'll bring you on as a consultant, and then you could do a couple of days as extras. Okay? How about that? Okay? No, I cannot pay you that much. There's just no way.
Well, you got to wonder about these experts that come out that, I did special effects on one zombie movie, so now I'm an expert and I'm going to get paid a ton of money to talk to people from Walking Dead. I'm not mentioning any people directly, but I'm thinking that's probably what's happened. I have no freaking idea, but I think that probably happens, don't you think? I mean, you would probably know more than I would. Doesn't that happen like in the movie industry where people like have had a little bit of experience but not a ton, and then they end up being consultants on other things?
The thing is they find relatives that they can hire that won't let anybody know that they have no idea what they're doing.
Right. Well, I think that's a common theme, though, of people acting like they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hello.
I know I've done it before.
What do you think? I did that for 10 years. I made a resume that had 10 years on it. It was the first thing I made in Hollywood. You know how bad, you know how weird I felt when it got up to be 10 years and right. I had to take, and I had to, it was actually 5 years, but when I was in the business for 10 years and it looked like it was 15, and I was like, I was very loath to take that first 5 years off of my resume. I was like, what the hell am I thinking here?
Oh, that's awesome.
It was a very strange thing. You know, I told people that all the time. I was like, you know, they'd say, well, you know, we looked at your resume. Nobody ever looks at anybody's resume in the film business. If somebody told you they looked at your resume, that means that you were recommended by a friend.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. We looked at your resume and you could just call bullshit on that one right there. Oh, really? Really? You read a resume, huh? Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't believe it.
Well, there you go. I'm going to start working on my resume. Let's see. What have I done in the last 10 years? Let me think of some things.
You know, I told people that for years, and they said, well, why don't you leave me your resume? And I go, what? So do you need more things not to read?
You should have just carried around a piece of film and said, here, look at this.
Oh, just hand them a Hustler. Right. Just put your own cover page on it. Right. Hand them a Hustler with a cover page. You know.
I don't think I rated this yet. Okay, I'm at a 3.4. I'm going to give it a higher rating than Day of the Dead.
Oh, you and your you see.
I think this is a good movie. I think it holds together well. I think if you forgive the time period, the kind of dated effects, I guess. Maybe I'm trying to be nice here, but the dated effects, it's a little dated because you have to get past the fact that it's 1978, and you're like, okay, things are a little bit higher tech now. But no, I got into the whole story and I enjoyed it.
I thought that there wasn't room for the great effects. I mean, the great effects are only in there if you actually just do them. So
well, this was Walking Dead set in 1978. Really is what it was.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah. So there you go. Those people working on Walking Dead aren't so brilliant, are they? See, I say stuff that I'm never going to get hired because I say things like that.
You know what? Yeah. You. How about
I'll
me?
edit that out and I'll say something like, those guys on the Walking Dead are brilliant, aren't they?
I'm online pissing people off daily.
I want to say, those guys on Walking Dead are so brilliant, they actually did a callback to the 70s when they started that show.
Tom Savini's Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's the other way? Oh, you'd be nice to people, huh?
Right.
Okay, I'll
it's
try
not
it.
opposite day, like my 6-year-old would say, or my 7-year-old would say, it's opposite day, Daddy. I don't like you.
Well, there you go. Oh, okay, guys. That's enough of this crap.
Yep. Keep living the dream. And just remember, when the dead start walking, what did they say? When hell has no more room, the dead start walking. That was my favorite quote.
When the going gets dead, the dead turn pro.
Right.